Now I know this is a bit of a random topic, but with the uprising in popularity of the 4K televisions, along with VR headsets such as Oculus and Project Morpheus, I think this could be a pretty interesting topic. And remember, this is just me speculating on what could possibly happen. I do not claim to be the most knowledgeable person, nor can I see into the future, so take this with a grain of salt. Now VR is just recently getting to the point where it is actually a thing that isn't broken. For many that have used the Oculus love it, and keep in mind the VR headsets are still in its prepubescent years. It doesn't have much to show off its potential, so it still has quite a while to go before it replaces standard displays. TVs are only getting larger and higher resolutions. Why? Because people want to feel closer to the action or horror, suspense or romance. They want to feel like they are in the movie or game. That is why people spend so much more money for displays that are bigger and have higher resolution screens. Also, 3D is another big indicator for this. The rise of 3D movies because people want to feel more like the movie is real. But of course, the horrible glasses turned it off for many people, including myself, which is completely understandable. Now, what does this mean in relation to VR headsets, you may ask? VR headsets essentially cover your whole field of view with video, along with stereoscopic 3D, without the annoying color change from 3D glasses. It basically mimics many standard displays and adds 3D for more realism. And for those who think it would suck to have their whole field of view covered, then they could easily have different modes, such as choosing the screen size you want to watch the media in relation to real TV screen sizes. So say if you wanted a 90-inch TV screen, you could easily do that, and it would look as if you were watching a 90-inch screen sitting down from like a couch or something. Along with screen sizes and 3D, another big reason VR headsets could take over modern displays is the cost to manufacture them. Right now, TVs are expensive as shit to produce and ship because of their sizes, where the headsets are a lot smaller and use less resources to make, which could make them a lot cheaper both to the manufacturer and the consumer. Of course, right now, VR isn't cheap enough to replace displays, but I think in a few years down the line, they'll be very cheap once they get more familiar with the technology. Plus, if it succeeds like I hope it will, they will eventually make 4K resolution VR headsets, which would look ultra realistic, almost as if you weren't looking at a screen, which would be pretty badass. I think it's more reasonable to say that people will spend less on VR headsets and get a better movie game experience than spend hundreds of more on just a set TV screen size that could never be the size of a theater screen or mimic reality or 3D. Not only would it be cheaper and a better experience, it would also be more portable. You could take it just about anywhere, especially as the models get smaller and smaller over time. Instead of having one big TV in every room, you could have multiple headsets that would replace one TV screen for the same price. And the whole anti-social thing I think is bullshit. If anything, VR would help people be more social. Not physically, of course, still quite some time before we could simulate touch. As far as human interaction and conversations, you could be face to face in a VR world talking to each other almost as if it was real life, even if you were hundreds of miles away. So I think they certainly could replace standard displays as long as people get familiar with them and as long as the new generation grow up with them instead of standard displays. It's not really all that crazy to think they absolutely could replace displays. There are almost no downsides to them and only ups. So don't be too surprised if you see them in about every household in a couple of decades or so. Cause it could happen. I do want it to happen one day, but like I said, it'll be quite a while until the technology and price point is there to make it work effectively. Anyway, that's my thoughts on VR replacing standard displays. Do you agree or disagree? We'd love to hear your thoughts about this in the comments below. And until the next video, I will see you then.